to wind up tonight, I'm really, really, really pleased to ask Dave Zirin to stand up to the podium and speak to you for a few minutes. Dave is the co-author with John of the John Carlos story, which will be, there will be signing off over here to your left after this meeting. So if you want John and Dave to sign, to buy the book and to sign this book, then that's where that book signing will take place. It's, how much is it, people? 15 quid. Yeah? There it is. I'm not going to go away with that one, so I doubt you are too. So anyway. But I would like really you to welcome Dave. Dave is a political sports journalist and a political activist. I've known him for a long time. Please welcome Dave here.
I've only been in the UK a week, and I've already learned that David Cameron is both a wanker and a tough. I leave with a marvelous education. Thank you so much. And I was texting some friends back home, and I was saying, I'm at a mass anti-racist meeting sponsored by trade unions. And people in the United States were like, who with the what now? That doesn't even translate. But we do some things in the United States well, and one of them is when we do criminal justice meetings and people's blood understandably gets very angry. We ask for a call and response from the crowd at the very end so people actually remember the real reason why we're here. So I ask of you all, if you stand for justice for the Lawrence family, give me a hell yeah. If you stand for justice for the Alder family, give me a hell yeah. If you stand for justice for the Riggs family, give me a hell yeah. If you stand for justice for the family of Trayvon Martin, Troy Davis, Mumia Abu-Jamal, and everybody affected by the new Jim Crow of the United States, give me a hell yeah. Damn, that was good by Brooklyn standards. That was great. Thank you very much. You know, it's hearing the stories of the Alder, Riggs, and Lawrence family. It's also enraging because you see the specter of the London Olympics, and you see the breathtaking powers that are going to be given to the police, and you just know that when these Olympics are done, in addition to being left with a bill, the people of London will be left with more broken families searching for justice for the treatment they received at the hands of the police. Now, please don't get me wrong, I love Olympic sports, but in the hands of the IOC and David Cameron, the Olympics have about as much to do with sports as the war in Iraq had to do with democracy. These are the austerity Olympics. These are the neoliberal Olympics. These are the security Olympics. These are the Hunger Games Olympics. These are the 1% Olympics. I mean, everything I've heard since I've been here, from the private roads for the Special Olympic officials and the 5-star hotels, they even get a massage at the end of the day. How nice is that? And for the 99%, missiles on the roof, a gunship in the Thames, an electrical fence. My goodness gracious. That's why one of the great things I've heard since I've been here is that on this Saturday, July 28th, there is a counter-Olympic network that's called for a protest at 12 noon that day. I want to encourage people to support that so the world knows that the people of London did not stand by while their city was occupied by the International Olympic Committee. It's like, I learned this from just hanging out with John Carlos. You learn a lot of things by hanging out with John Carlos, but one of the things that I've learned, in addition of how to walk and look really cool, although I haven't mastered it yet, he's got a nice little swagger going, but the other thing that I've learned is how can you ask somebody to live in this world and not say anything about injustice? How can they ask the people of London to stand by and say nothing and celebrate an Olympic Games to which they are not invited? How can you ask them to smile and wave the Union Jack when the message of this government is, we have seen the enemy and it is all of us? Now, I'll wrap up with...
I never said anything.
Oh, okay.
I just enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. And I just really do want to wrap up with this point. This was something that Anjum mentioned. Anjum talked about the running of the Olympic torch. And it's been on the news a great deal. The handing of that torch from Greece to the United Kingdom. And I agree with him entirely. I mean, the history is there. It is a fascist ritual with roots in Nazi Germany in 1936. And bloody hell if I'm going to celebrate some Nazi ritual that came out of the brain trust of Adolf Hitler. But there is a different kind of torch that Greece is passing to the United Kingdom. There's a different kind of torch that Greece is passing to the entire world. And that is the torch of resistance. It is the torch of strikes. It is the torch of standing up and saying the banker's way is not the people's way, and we will stand for our rights and not have our lives destroyed because some banker wants to be bailed out on our dollar, on our dime. We're no longer going to have the debt of this society collectivized and all the pain collectivized while all the profit is privatized in the hands of the few. That's the torch of Greece, which is being handed to us right now. And I'll just end by saying it's been wonderful to be here and hear so many people talk about the legacies of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And when you grow up in schools in the United States, you're taught that these are two people on opposite sides of the political spectrum. You had Martin Luther King, who was for peace and doing it the right way, and then Malcolm X, who was that bad man. You should look at suspect, although we'll put him on a postage stamp now and talk about at the end of his life how he was much less radical, but just ignore everything that he said before 1963 or so. When in reality, anybody here who knows the history knows that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were moving together at the end of their lives, taking a stand for economic injustice, against economic injustice, and taking a stand for all oppressed peoples throughout the world. And that's why, in my mind, I always bring the two together. And I think it's the message that I try to carry in my heart day in, day out. And that is that we shall overcome. But we're going to do it by any means necessary.